Welcome to the Veterans in Politics Talk Show. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, live stream on Facebook. Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sampson, Stephanie Phillips with another episode of Veterans in Politics. Today we have Judge Jasmine Lilly-Spells, Clark County District Court, Department number 23. But before we get to Judge Spells, Ms. Phillips.
Thanks for joining us, everybody, and thank you to our sponsors. We have Dr. Ari Nagy. He's running for Congressional District 3. His website is nagyforcongress.com, and that's F-O-R, nagyforcongress.com. We also have Henderson's Mayor, Michelle Romero. She's running for re-election. Her website is votemichelleromero.com, votemichelleromero.com. We also have Cody K. Whipple. He's running for Congressional District 4. His website is codykforcongress.com, and that's the number 4, codykforcongress.com. We also have Dave Marlin. He is running for Las Vegas City Council, Ward 6. His website is daveforvegas.com, and that's F-O-R, daveforvegas.com. We also have Judge Jennifer Schwartz. She's running for re-election for Department 17. Her website is judgeschwartz.com, judgeschwartz.com. We also have George Harris. He is running for Nevada State Senate District 8. His website is votegeorgeharris.com, votegeorgeharris.com. We also have Tim Ross over at the North Las Vegas Hangars Association. Their website, if you want to know more about what they do and advocate for, it's vgthog.org, vgthog.org. And we also have our newest sponsor is Trent Richards. He is running for Henderson's Justice Court Department 4. That's the new department that they have opened up. And his website is trentforjudge.com. And that's the number 4, trentforjudge.com. And also, we are wearing our endorsed candidate for Clark County Recorder. It's Stephen Barella. So there's 2 different designs that he did. He gave us hats. Thank you, Stephen, for that. He's running for Clark County Recorder. Also, don't forget to grab your copy of Steve's book, How to Navigate Nevada's Family Court System. You can get a copy on Amazon. It is $14.99. And if you don't have an attorney and can't afford one, grab this book. It's a self-help book and will help you navigate that family court system. Also, we have a merch store. It's vipimerch.com, vipimerch.com. It's all kinds of fun things for you to check out there. And Steve has the rant for this hour.
Well, I wanted to talk to you folks and let you know about these endorsements because a lot of candidates, they go and they try to earn an endorsement or get an endorsement. But I just wanted to let you guys know you might want to challenge some of these endorsements or look into it on people's resume or candidates' resume when they put it out. Some endorsements are just given. If you see some endorsements that were given in pre-primary and you want to know how the hell that person got an endorsement in pre-primary, that's because the campaign manager calls up and pull a favor to get those endorsements. Unions, a lot of unions don't endorse challengers. They only endorse the incumbents. So you probably want to look into that. A lot of unions only endorse the incumbents and won't endorse the challengers. So a lot of challengers, they waste their time going to union endorsements because you won't get it. A lot of the endorsements are done behind closed doors. And you need to take a look at these endorsements when they're given to candidates. Some veteran groups are violating their 501c3 when they give endorsements because if you have a 501c3 and you endorse a candidate, because a 501c3 is saying that you're tax exempt from the IRS. So if you have a 501c3 and you endorse a candidate, you at a risk of losing your tax exemption. So organizations out there, whether it's veterans organizations or what have you, if you go ahead and you endorse a candidate and you have a 501c3 and somebody reports you might get a letter from the IRS that says that you're no longer tax exempt. So be very careful what you do. There are some veteran groups out there that are a one-man pony show, okay? Or there are a Facebook page They're not registered with the Nevada Secretary of State. And and some of these veteran groups, some of the people that are head of these veteran groups are not veterans. And they even go one step further to manipulate you and use a veteran title so that you think that they're a veteran, but they're not a veteran. So be careful of these groups. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because I've been doing this for 21 years, okay? And I'm very passionate about what we do in veterans in politics. Every veteran goes through a boot camp, whether you're Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines, or what, Space Force? Or is that the new one, right? Or what have you. You go through boot camp, you get in the bus or you fly and you go to whatever state that is and you go to whatever base that is and you go through a boot camp. Now, candidates need to do the same thing. And our boot camp is when you interview. That is our boot camp. We vet every single candidate we endorse, we vet them. We don't just give them an endorsement because they're a member of our club and they paid their registration fee. And these questionnaires, a lot of these questionnaires that they give out, I was a candidate, okay? So I'm very much aware of these questionnaires. A lot of times, your campaign manager fills out the questionnaire, your mama fills out your questionnaire, your big brother fills out the questionnaire, your neighbor fills out the questionnaire, and it's not the candidate that's filling out the questionnaire. A lot of times it's not the candidate. Sometimes it is. You might get one or two, but majority, it's not the candidate that are filling out these questionnaires. So be very careful of when you see endorsements on these candidates' pages or their flyers. I would question every single endorsement. With us, you don't have to question. All you got to do is go to our YouTube channel. It's right there. The candidate, and we only endorse candidates that actually show up and give us that respect and show up and interview in front of our panel live on Facebook. There is no other organization, and I could put my hand on the Bible, in the state of Nevada, because I'm not too familiar about the other states, but there's no organization in the state of Nevada that holds their endorsement interviews live on Facebook and then records it and put it on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Truth Social, Getter, and all those other social media platform pages. So, and we always tell folks, if you don't like who we endorse, watch the interview. And do you know how many people that didn't like who we endorsed because they kind of know that person? And then when they watch the interview, they like, oh, yeah, I know why you didn't endorse that person now. Exactly. Watch the interview, read the email. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want people to pay attention to these endorsements, because it's no joke, folks. We want to put great people in office, or we want to keep great people in office. We don't get paid. It's not about money. It's not about power. It's not about favor. It's not about none of that. Sometimes some of the endorsement choices that the panel make, me and Ms. Phillips don't like, but we live with it because we're part of the organization and we have to go with it because that's what the panel said to do and that's what we do. So, and I hope that everybody understands these endorsement process because it's critical. Because I've seen some endorsements take people off the bench or whatever their elected official capacity is, whether it's Congress or public administrator or what have you. And I've seen a lot of endorsements put people on the bench or whatever they're running for, whether it's Congress or whatever the seat is. But pay attention to these endorsements because it's very important, and we're very passionate about what we do. And everything that we do is recorded, full transparency, nothing behind closed doors. We don't even do Zoom. You want our endorsement, you give us that respect, you show up, you sit, you answer questions, and you earn it. It's not given to you. You earn it. Just like any veteran going into any branch of service, when they go through boot camp, they earn that title. So you earn that endorsement. And I wish a lot of veterans groups out there do exactly what we do. Earn the endorsement and don't give it as a favor. Because if you got an endorsement that's a favor, it's not really worth anything. But if you go and you earn it, it's worth a lot more. And that's all I want to say about that. Thank you so much. Judge Spells, how you doing today, man?
I'm well. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm doing good. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So I'm Judge Jasmine Lilly-Spells. I've been your district court judge on the bench for the past 5 years. I have a split docket of criminal and civil cases. And I also was the Veterans Treatment Court judge for approximately a year and a half, which was an amazing pleasure to be able to engage in that work. Outside of the courtroom, I am a mom of 4, ages 17, 15, 11, and 8.
Do you have time for the bench?
Yes. Currently 4 children in 4 different schools. My judicial
4 different schools.
It's crazy. My judicial philosophy stems around having a balance of compassion with public safety by recognizing that every decision we make is going to impact people. It impacts not just the people before you, but community, their immediate family. Sometimes that impact can be short, but sometimes that impact can be long-lasting, years even, decades even. And then also having integrity by making sure I'm applying the law fairly and being accountable to voters, accountable to your organization, other organizations, and also accountable that the decisions that I make are going to withstand rigorous review. So my error rate is substantially low in my opinion. It's around 16%. If you're interested in looking at other judges' error rates, there's a website called Our Nevada Judges that posts that. From my brief review, I would say that the median is typically around 30%. So it's a little bit about me.
So what distinguishes you from other district court judges?
I think one of the things that distinguishes me is just how accessible I am and how I am in community. And so
What does that mean?
Absolutely. So I feel as if you can't be in judgment of someone if you remain in an ivory tower. And I know that there is a fine line because we have so many judicial ethics rules. We need to make sure that we are operating within the judicial ethics. But part of our judicial ethics are that we should be promoting education within the law and doing things like that. So being in community is engaging with organizations, law school students, law schools, competitions, but not just that, local schools even. And community organizations, partnering with organizations they have questions, they want to come into the courtroom, learn about the courtroom, learn about the process. When people have a question as to why is this your judicial philosophy or why did you decide this, you have to be accountable because we are public servants. So we don't get to hide behind the robe or hide behind the bench. So that's what I mean by being in community, accessible at events, someone who you can speak to, talk to, see.
What reforms do you believe is needed in the Clark County courts?
Oh my goodness. I think it really just depends on which avenue you want to look at. I think that primarily the courts need to be accessible. And we've done a good job of incorporating some of those audiovisual means by allowing people to have Zoom. The justice courts, which I'm not a justice court judge, but the Las Vegas and the North Las Vegas justice courts have done an excellent job of those custody hearings. I believe they're having court 7 days a week so that they can determine should people remain in custody.
7 days?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So they can determine should people remain in custody or should they be released. That's not something we need to do at the district court level because most custody decisions are handled below. But that's one of the ways in which courts are accessible. I also think it's extremely important to be cost effective. We are seeing over so many years, especially last year, Nevada, we had to have a special session to deal with the budget, right? And there were a lot of cuts. And anytime there's cuts, people are concerned about what's most fundamental to them. Are we cutting healthcare? Are we cutting education? Are we cutting different programs? And so I think that looking at how effective we are being, how resourceful we are being, and how we're utilizing those dollars, how that's being interpreted with recidivism, I think that the courts need to be driven by data, not necessarily driven by emotion. Not necessarily driven by even public emotion, right? Because the public may have a feeling about how safe communities are or what's going on. But unless you're in court every day and unless you're reviewing that data, that may just be an emotion that's not actually true. So I think that's important.
We talked about this with other judges and other people. The public has a perception sometimes that some judges are light on crime.
Mm-hmm.
You don't give the heavy sentence to some people that deserve it. And people are just, people are very passionate about that and get very upset. So what do you say to the voters that maybe say you're too light on crime, or you don't give a heavy enough sentence, or, what do you say to the voters that have that perception?
Absolutely. So the first thing I would say is, please understand that my name is outside of my particular courtroom, but the court's not mine. It is a public court, and it is open and accessible to individuals. So I say you need to come and see your judges. And a lot of us have Zoom, so that if you have mobility issues, you can't pay for parking, you can Zoom in and watch our hearings. And then I think you need to understand the full picture, because you can't just take one case and say, oh, the judge was lenient on that case without looking at a breadth of someone's cases. That's one thing I would say. The other thing that I would say, a couple of things, maybe 4 things actually. So the next thing that I would say is that sometimes what the public doesn't know is that a judge is following the negotiation. And a lot of judges take it very seriously to follow a negotiation, because if a judge doesn't follow a negotiation consistently, like so much, the system will break apart, because attorneys will say, you can't take a deal because we don't know what's going to happen. So there has to be some level of reliability in negotiating. And quite frankly, really among the country, the matter of cases that negotiate is in like the 90th percentile. So the system would almost fall apart if every case was going to trial. Now, there are some spaces and certain cities where they do litigate a lot more, and a lot more cases are going to trial. But as a whole, that's just not the case. So there has to be some reliability in the negotiations. There's also called a conditional plea. And what that means is if a judge doesn't follow it, then either party can say, we're going to go to trial. And if you understand why a conditional plea was made, maybe a witness is too afraid to testify or talk. We see that a lot in child cases or in sexual trauma cases, where it's a re-victimization for someone to have to come and describe that. And so they may say, we can get this negotiation and save all this. So it's pros and cons, right? And if you don't follow that conditional plea, then either party can go to trial. And
is there a number of years set forth in that negotiation, like, 1 to 5 or 5 to 10, that you have the latitude and discretion to say, okay, they've given me 10, I'm going to give the guy 10? Or, is there that range in there usually?
So the way negotiations work, it really just depends. You can have a right to argue, which means both sides get the right to argue, and the judge can sentence within the range. And I'm speaking of the state system, because the federal system is completely different. You can have a no-op to something, which is typically like a no-op probation or no-op probation with conditions. Or you can have a stipulated sentence that says, we've agreed to this sentence. You can have a stipulated probation and stipulated conditions. And so it really just depends. You can also have a no recommendation, where the state has chosen to remain silent, the defense gets to argue, and then the judge gets to make a decision. So there's so many factors at play. I also wanted to speak to rehabilitation courts. We see statistically that our rehabilitation courts reduce recidivism long-term. And while they may cost some money on the front end, it is a very resourceful use of the money. And so sometimes people may think a judge is being lenient, but if we've looked at a rehabilitation program, we're monitoring that person for 18 months, 2 years, making sure they have the resources, then they go back out on the streets. The reality of it is that even if I send someone to prison for the maximum sentence, unless it's life, at some point they're getting back out. So we need to look at not just the punishment aspect, but how do we protect the community in the long term, which is through lower recidivism. Every decision can't be a short-term fix, if that makes sense. So I think that's why I'm saying you have to really visit the judges and do an overall assessment of at least a day or, a couple of cases, not just one case.
How often do you see people in your courtroom?
You mean like just regular
observers.
individuals coming
Yeah,
in?
Yeah.
Not very often,
Mhm.
but I invite a lot of people.
Mhm.
So I've had some children come in. We just did a partnership in my courtroom with National Action Network, NAN children. Some of their parents came. And I tell people all the time, hey, come see your judges. So we had about 4 observers on Monday. Like I said, Nan came in a month ago or so. And we've had a couple. I wouldn't say it's as regular as I would like, but they do come. Yes.
And for the record, a lot of attorneys are observers for us.
Okay.
They'll call us up and tell us, "Hey, I was in Judge Spells' courtroom.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is what happened.
I didn't like it." And it's not often that we call and give people praises. I don't think as a society we're really good about giving people flowers in the moment. So you're probably not getting the call of like, the judge was the best today,
No, I'm not
and
getting those
everything went smooth.
No,
And so
They never call about that.
exactly, and
No
that's
news
my
is good
point,
news.
right? That's my point. So yes, I'm sure there's some days where it's bad, but I just think it's so important to. I tell people all the time when defendants come before me, they're always concerned. Like, I'm not a bad person, and so one of the things I say in my courtroom is, no one is the sum of their best day or their biggest accomplishment, and no one is the sum of their worst day or their worst accomplishment. Like, we're just complicated people. So you have to look at a whole picture, not just a tiny segment or a tiny subset.
We were in the courthouse one day. We went into Judge Williams'
Mhm.
courtroom, and they had a bunch of classes, I think fifth
Yes.
grade classes that
From
came
the
through
rurals.
from Utah.
Mhm.
No, they were, wasn't it Utah? No,
It was from the
Logandale.
rurals, I think. Yeah, one of the rural
Oh, okay,
counties.
Logandale, yes.
Somewhere up there. And I just thought that was a great field trip that everyone in Clark County, all the kids, should come and schedule a time. And maybe they do, and I don't know it, but I think that should be a regular thing. Let them see how this works,
Yes.
real courtroom, and do that. I thought it was awesome. And a lot of people, they call us and, who do we vote for? We don't know any of these people. They have absolutely no idea who you guys are.
Yeah, so we do have classrooms regularly within the courthouse. And I don't know how many judges are doing it. I think a lot of judges are very open about having children in the courthouse. My team always jokes that if you call and say that children want to come, I often will rearrange my schedule to fit them in because I love kids so much. So we have children a lot in our courtroom, but not just in the courtroom. I go to schools. So I've partnered with the Nevada Judicial College. At one point, we were getting autographed books by Justice Sotomayor. And so I've gifted those books to certain classrooms. We've read them. We've gone over kind of the process. I partnered with Jack and Jill of America Incorporated, and I did a gun safety class in my courtroom a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday. So I am regularly bringing people in, not just the court watch, but to do programming and education within the courthouse.
How do you ensure impartiality in political sensitive cases?
I think impartiality shouldn't just be in political sensitive cases, but in everyone's case. It's extremely important. And we like to say that justice is blind. I honestly just don't believe in that. I think that when you say that justice is blind, you're not seeing the people in front of you. You're not seeing the issues, you're not seeing the victim, you're not seeing the defendant, you're not seeing the root cause that brought the people before your courtroom. So I absolutely believe in seeing individuals, understanding the full picture, asking questions, and ultimately trying to do that balance of that judicial philosophy that I talked about, balancing the public safety and the compassion. And it's not just compassion for one side, it's for the fact that the involvement of the court system are humans, right? And so you can't get so busy that you're pushing these cases through like they're numbers. You have to take the time and really, really give the time that it needs, really make sure you're prepared and read everything and that you understand and know the law. And then you make the best decision doing that balancing test.
How many cases do you go through like in a month? How many cases crossed your desk?
Many.
And how do you deal with the backlog?
Yeah.
So my calendars range from about 20 to 40 cases on a criminal calendar. I have 2 criminal sessions per week, Monday and Wednesday. Then my civil calendar is anywhere from about 10 to 20. And then we do what's called a chambers calendar, which is where people don't come into court, but we need to make decisions on their cases, and we write the decisions out. Some of them are quick, some of them are status checks, but my chamber's calendar is approximately 20 per week. So there can be weeks where I'm looking at 100 cases. Not all of them are 100 serious cases. It may be a status check. It may be setting a trial. It may be procedural, but about that. And then, if you're doing research and writing, you're doing that. Then we also are required to sign orders. So every decision that we make needs to have a written order. And so you can sign 10 to 15 orders a day. So the amount of cases that you're touching and looking at, it's probably at least 100 a week. Just because, and like I said, it may not be a deep dive, but if you are signing the order, you have to make sure this order that an attorney prepared matches what I told them, matches what my decision. Yeah, so you at least have to look at your prior notes and minutes and to the order. That may take you 5 minutes, may take you 15 minutes. So I think people look at just what a judge is doing in court, but not recognizing how much of it is behind the scenes. I may be in court for 2 hours, but it may have taken me 2 to 4 hours to prep for 2 hours in court. Right? Court is like the stage for me. It's the show if you're doing theater, but you have the practice and all of that behind. Backlog. We're all accessible by our cell phones. So our team calls us when we're getting phone calls about people waiting on stuff. And I think we just do the best that we can. Make sure that you're pulling at least 40 hours a week. Many of us are doing way more than 40. But
do you have a certain time frame that you have to put an order out or answer something that attorneys submit? What does that time frame look like?
Every department has their own department standards, and they widely vary. There are some things that are formed by our 8th Judicial District Court rules or by our judicial ethics. And sometimes if the Supreme Court tells you to do something, they always give you a timeline. So they may say, we're missing this and we need to review it. You have 21 days or you have 30 days. And so it really just depends. And it also depends on what stage a case is at. So for instance, say a criminal case is going to trial. Criminal cases move very quickly, like very, very quickly because of the liberty interest. And so if there's an issue, say there's an issue with the warrant or an issue with a statement or a confession, and they are challenging it, then I may need to have an evidentiary hearing. Well, I may have to have an evidentiary hearing like Friday for a trial starting on Monday. If for some reason I have more than one trial announced in my department and like my trial, one of my cases needs to go to another judge, then I would need to make sure they have those orders before they start. So that may be a 24 or 48 hour turnaround, but it can be up to 30 days and sometimes longer. Our goals are any serious decision we should have out within 30 days.
It's a long time to wait.
What role should specialty courts play in Nevada's judicial system?
I think specialty courts are integral. Those are those rehabilitation courts that I was speaking about. And really just because you really get the bang for your buck there. And it's so important. I think about my opportunity to do Veterans Court and just how much of a blessing it was for me, how fulfilling it was. Why was that stopped,
the Veterans Court?
We still have it.
No, you.
Oh, yeah. So we have an administration team and they decide who takes what types of cases. And so sometimes just depending on workflow, different people will have an opportunity to preside over different types of cases. Some of it is what we want to do. Some of it is what the court's needs are. Some of it is an individual skill set, how they can best serve. But the statistics on that show 3, 4, 5 years out, a larger subset of people remain crime-free than necessarily sending them to prison. There are some cases, some people who have to go to prison. But what we were seeing at least 5 years ago when they did a criminal justice overhaul in the legislature, we were seeing that we were incarcerating more women and more nonviolent property crimes. And that's what the stats were showing. So we were showing larger incarceration, but we weren't showing larger incarceration for violent offenses. And I think that is a unique difference, not to say that crime doesn't hurt businesses or that it doesn't affect individuals, because it absolutely does. It can actually shatter a small business, right? Make them go bankrupt. But there's a difference between violence and non-violence. And sometimes, for instance, if you can offer a rehabilitation court for something that's nonviolent. You can help someone get a birth certificate, get a job, get housing, get off of addiction, get their mental health stabilized. Then you're going to see them become a productive citizen instead of recycling through because they don't have those basic things like a birth certificate or a driver's license to even start applying to a job.
Do you believe in the Constitution?
I absolutely do, yes.
Do you have a favorite amendment?
Do I have a favorite amendment?
Mm-hmm.
Never been asked that.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I might go with the 14th, which is really weird.
And explain the 14th Amendment as well.
So the 14th, in a lot of ways, makes it so that the states are required to follow federal guidelines, federal laws, right? So it's through that when the feds have said we get certain rights, that the states also have to apply it. So the states can't be like, oh no, feds, we appreciate what you're doing there, but in our state, we're going to do something else, right? And so the application of a lot of the equal protection of the laws is going to come through the 14th Amendment. And that's so important because it covers so many things, right? The right to vote, the right to women to vote, the right to people of color to have access and vote. So I'm going to go with the 14th Amendment for now.
How you feel about the second?
I feel great about it.
She had a gun safety class in her courtroom on a Saturday.
I did. I had a gun safety class in the courtroom on a Saturday. The United States Supreme Court has been very clear as to the defining of the Second Amendment. And so I think that people have a right to guns under the Second Amendment, and that should be protected. We definitely should be following the Constitution. I myself have taken like one gun safety class, and people always get into this with me. They're like, if someone was coming after your child, you would shoot them, right? And I'm like, I don't know that I would have the heart to. Maybe like in the moment, but I'm so, I don't know, a softie, a mom. So I'd be like, well, I'm going to shoot them in the kneecap. Hope that I can stop them. I know what is taught, right? You shoot center mass. It's you or them. But when we start talking about it, I'm like, it's just stuff. I can buy more. You know, I guess if it was like knife to my throat or, you know, trying to sexually assault me, I'd feel a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And so personally, actually have purchased guns, have guns. Like I said, I did a gun safety class, but I'm not someone who's super knowledgeable, or I'm not going to go out and shoot for fun or go like purchase guns for fun.
So you don't pack?
You don't carry on the bench or
no.
have a CCW?
I feel like you guys are putting me at risk here. Yes, I carry on the bench if you're coming for me. Okay. I will shoot center mass. It's you or me at that point.
We've never had a judge answer that. I ask all the female judges, do you carry?
I will just light you up.
We're going to have to send this response to all the other female judges.
So in all honesty, no.
You have every gun rights activist group supporting you.
In all honesty, I do not carry. I do not have a CCW. If you are carrying, please make sure that you're complying with whatever the current laws and statutes are, not just in your county and community. You know, make sure you're checking all the rules. However, what I will say is, you know, not to be funny about the issue because it's not funny. We do know that within my court system, one of my colleagues did have an incident. It made national news. And so public judicial safety is a priority. Yeah. And what people often don't realize is how much we are at risk, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and so when we're talking about like being in community, you know, it's a double-edged sword, because I do have children. I need to make sure they're protected. And we never know if someone is trying to buddy up with us or our children because one of their friends or family has a case in front of us, or what's going to happen. So I train my team regularly in safety. I know all of the items that can be used as a weapon, whether they are a weapon or not within my vicinity. We do at least 1 or 2 trainings a year. How do we get out? Making sure that everyone knows protocols, where alarms are. I ensure that all of my alarms are in working order. And also I try to do real life situations of, something were to happen, what are you doing? And so I won't tell you on camera, but believe me, I know where all of the weapons are. I've tested them. I've also done some training with the feds regarding active shooting. And so we're training every year in my department, at least once a year. And also how to get out, because if an emergency happens, oftentimes people don't know, not just how to get out of your little area, but how do you get out of the building, right? So it's something that I regularly do train on.
So you know that a judge is as good as their staff, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about your staff.
Yes.
Your marshal.
Yes.
Is he willing to jump in front of that bullet for you?
I'm going to say absolutely.
Okay.
I trust that my marshals absolutely have my back. I just switched marshals.
Okay.
It's been like a week.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. That's recent.
Yes, maybe 2 weeks. So the reason being my last marshal.
And what did you look for when you picked this particular marshal?
Okay. Let me go back and then I'll answer your question if that's okay. My last marshal was with me for 4 years and we had an excellent relationship and I absolutely know he would jump in front of anything for me. It's absolutely amazing. There was an opportunity for him to become K-9. And so he wanted to seek that opportunity. I wrote a letter of recommendation. We talked about it. No, K-9 within our department.
Oh, you guys got a K-9 department?
I don't know if that's supposed to be, but
did you see on the courthouse?
No, I've never seen from the marshal a K-9 ever.
So he is going into a new position and I'm super excited for him. I think that he will be excellent in that role. And so for him, it's something he always wanted to do. So I got a new marshal and this marshal, when he came on, he was trained by my priors. So I am confident that he would, jump in front of anything for me. We are just getting adjusted because we haven't worked together for quite some time. So my other one kind of just knew my routine, right? So he's familiar with it. He's been in my courtroom quite a lot, but we'll grow that relationship. As I said, he's been there a couple of weeks maybe. And what did I look for? The number one quality I look for in all of my team members is respect and kindness. There's a lot of things that I can teach, that I can work with, that we can train on, but you can't teach people respect and manners. They either grew up with them, and they utilize them, or they just don't. And I think that's so important because you can mitigate so much. You can create safety just by having that respect, treating people with manners, treating people kindly. You can diffuse so many situations. And after that, I looked for compatibility with the current team because it is a small set of members. And so you cannot have people fighting like cats and dogs. They have to be able to get along. And you have to be someone who's like a real person down to earth because you're going to get to know all sides of me. We're going to joke. We're going to have good days. We're going to have to talk about really horrific facts sometimes. And we're going to have to make decisions because, I have a law clerk that I go over stuff with. And so if you're someone who is going to be offended because I didn't use the legal word or a long word or, I don't have the time to
babysit.
Yeah, I want someone who's going to understand real people because the people who come before you, it's far and few in between that we have some who are super educated. We don't do a lot of corporate crime and stuff like that, So it's most of these things are just everyday people, common people. And so if you're someone who's thumbing your nose up at people, whether it be a victim or a defendant, they're lower socioeconomic or whatever that is, then it becomes very difficult to work with you because you have to understand people's plight. You have to understand what a victim went through. You have to understand what a defendant went through. You don't rule based on your emotions. You don't say, oh, I'm ruling for the victim, I'm ruling for the defendant, because it's not justice. Mm-hmm. You have to look at the whole picture. But if you don't understand that, how do you even begin to make a decision?
Mm-hmm. And you have your own law clerk.
I do, yes.
And what do you look for in a law clerk? how do you arrive at this law clerk?
So this law clerk is amazing.
Okay.
He's doing an excellent job. Shout out to my current law clerk. Shout out to my past law clerks and my future law clerks. And so they fill out an application. They come in for an interview. Again, top priority is kindness. And sometimes I do a 2-part interview.
How about knowledge of the law when it comes to a law clerk?
Yes and no. So what I'm looking for is they have to submit a writing sample. I need to know that they can write. And when I'm looking at their writing sample, I need to know how are they analyzing the law? Do they have critical thinking skills? So it's not necessarily knowledge of the law. It's critical thinking skills, ability to analyze, and good writing. And that they explained themselves in a manner that makes sense, because they may be assisting me with writing. So the writing style is very important, and the communication style is very important. And then time management is huge, because you talked about the backlog. So if it's someone who has horrific time management skills, that's going to reflect poorly on me. They're going to be behind, I'm going to be behind, etc. And someone who can do well under pressure. I typically like people who have shown some level of life experience, either through organizations or prior careers. Not to say that if you don't have that you can't manage, but inevitably, there's going to be some stressful days. There may be a day where sugar honey iced tea hits the fan, and you have to figure out, how am I going to manage through that? And if you're someone who's super anxious or can't deal with pressure and you fall apart, like, we can't have that. You already have to keep the courtroom safe. You have to keep the litigants in order. You have to keep yourself emotionally, your judicial temperament. And so it's a lot of emotions, a lot of things to handle. So I kind of need everyone else to self-regulate, if that makes sense. So that's extremely important to me.
Last but not least.
Absolutely.
Your JEA.
Oh, love her. So my JEA has been rocking with me for over 5 years. Yeah, she's been there from the entire time. She absolutely has my back. And she's someone who I think isn't afraid to call me on my nonsense. Oh. And that's important. You need to have someone like that.
She calls me on my nonsense all the time.
Right? So you need to have people like that in your personal life who aren't afraid to kind of speak up and talk.
And then I don't talk to her for like a day or so.
But she might have said something that was helpful, right? You probably said something Jasmine. That was helpful.
Yes, I did. Yeah, so, I do.
Listen, let's be honest. If everyone is singing you praises, how do you grow as a person?
True.
What are you going to do? You're going to be the same old version of yourself you were 10 years ago, and society is going to move past you. Right. So constructive criticism it's pertinent. It's so loyalty? Important. Loyalty is absolutely, oh my goodness, yes, absolutely significant. Absolutely. Yes. I think protecting your team and your judge.
So if somebody has a problem with you and your team, they should go to you and try to rectify it.
Absolutely.
And not try to go outside of you. Yes. I mean, if you can't rectify it, then I could see. But
yes.
But if they got to give you an opportunity.
Absolutely. Yes. They should bring issues to me. Everyone on my team has my personal cell phone number. They can contact me, at any time period through text, and I try to be as responsible as possible. So yes, issues should be coming directly to me.
Well, Judge Spells, I took a little turn there.
You did.
And I just wanted to just get the you. I think we got the you.
No, that's what we like. And that's what voters like. And people talk to us about, people, they get to see your human side and who you are.
Absolutely.
And, some of your personality and what you're about and what's priority to you. And that is so important, because you guys are the ones that are mostly hidden, and unknown.
We are. Mm-hmm. And the decisions that we make, they're incredible. They're long lasting. They're so impactful, right? Like, we affect people's lives a lot. And one of the things that I joke about with some of my close friends is kind of what you said. People don't really understand the judiciary. I think it's a harder branch of government to really understand the importance of it. And we are down ballot. And so some people don't even get to those races. Oh, I'm never going to be in a courthouse. I'm never going to go in front of a judge. They don't understand the importance of it. And so I laugh with some of my friends and I say, one of the things that people don't realize is, I can't control what cases I get in front of me. But when I make the decision, it's my decision. And I have to stand by that decision. When you go in different branches of government, oftentimes that decision is not made by one person. There's some level of vote. There's some level of maybe negotiation. Now, of course, we hear the arguments, but at the end of the day, there's not a vote in my decision. My decision is my decision. If you are displeased, you appeal me. And sometimes the Supreme Court says, no, you got that wrong. Go back and do it again. And then I go back and do it again. Sometimes they tell me exactly what to do. Sometimes they just tell me, you need to consider this. And then again, give your decision. And so it's so important to understand that in this branch, judges are making a decision without any level. It's just not a collaborative vote. The same way that maybe a legislature would have. And it's not a majority vote to make the decision. The decision is the judges, good, right, or indifferent.
Sometimes the public does not like those decisions.
Oh.
Whether they're too heavy, too light, in between. I mean, it's sometimes you just can't win, especially some of these, high profile cases. But it's a difficult job that you guys have.
Can I be honest with you and the people for a moment?
Lie to us.
I would never, that. Bad choice of words. For me, I can't speak for other judges. Sometimes I don't like my decisions. Mm-hmm. I don't get, every decision that I make is not one that I wanted to make. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I really wish I could have done this, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I want to sentence people to more. Sometimes I want to sentence people to less. And I'm like, oh, this is stupid. Why are we doing this? Especially when it's like, like you stole from your parents and they just needed the police report to, get their jury or something back, but they still love you. They're still going to support you. And maybe the negotiation is go to prison. I'm like, did the mom really want their daughter to go to prison? Or, you don't understand those family dynamics. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So yeah, sometimes I want to send people less. Sometimes I want to sentence them more harshly. Sometimes I'm wondering, why aren't you going to trial? And sometimes, I've been in some situations where I've had to make some decisions on business cases or where I've had to tell someone, I'm so sorry, yes, you're going to lose your home or, this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And that's not a good feeling.
No.
I don't wake up in the morning and say, today I'm going to take someone's home and we're going to, celebrate and have a party. Like those are not things that you enjoy. Or today I'm going to sentence someone to life for 20 years. That's not like a goal that I wake up with. But if that's what the law says I have to do, whether I like the decision or not, I stand on integrity. If I start making decisions based upon how I feel for the day or based upon my personal wants, then I'm not going to be able to sleep at night. Because at some point when you become that person, people can persuade you. You can be bought. You can be whatever that looks like. So at the end of the day, I have to stand on my decision, whether personally I like it or not.
You ever second guessed yourself?
Yes. And sometimes it's so funny. So sometimes I feel like, oh, I should have done this. I think I made the wrong decision. And then the Supreme Court has come back and be like, yes, reverse. And I'm like, yep, I knew it. I knew. It just happened recently on a case. I made a decision and I said, I know they're taking me up. Let's just write the decision as best as we can. And I got reversed and I read the reversal and I wanted to know more about the reason that I was reversed, but ultimately I'm reversed. So I'll do it again. And there's been other decisions where I'm like, ooh, okay. And I've been upheld, right? And sometimes the law changes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, there's a uniqueness to a case where the Supreme Court may look at it and say, we want to modify this or whatever it is. And then sometimes I've gotten you made the right decision, but you went about it the wrong way. So here's the right way to do it. And that's helpful too, right? Because, I may get a test confused or misapply it. So all of that is helpful to continue to learn that constructive criticism, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no one's perfect.
Well, Judge Spells, it's been, what would you call it, Ms. Phillips?
It's been a pleasure.
It's been fun, pleasure, insightful, enlightening.
Insightful. This has been an insightful interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mark's going to zoom in on you.
Okay.
And you could say, I know you just had an event.
Yes, I did.
It was very well attended, by the way.
It was.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, supporters. We had almost 100 people at our event last night. And it was just amazing. So thank you so much for the support. Yes.
If you have another one, you could say that. You could tell people come vote for you or whatever you want to say, and you could direct them to your website.
Okay. Can I hold your gavel?
Sure. Slap it around.
Yeah. Since you don't have one in your courtroom, I can't even believe
And
it.
if we give you one that says Veterans in Politics, would you put it on your bench?
On your bench?
Yeah, I'll definitely keep it. I don't use gavels.
Oh, okay.
The reason I don't use gavels is at the point you're using a gavel, you've already lost control. I got to keep control.
Well, you can do it here once just so you
Yes,
know what it feels
listen.
like.
Look, I'm going to do it. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Judge Jasmine Lilly-Spells. I'm your current judge in District Court Department 23. Running for re-election, I will be on your November ballot, not your June ballot. So please look for Lilly-Spells in November, asking that you vote me for re-election. If you need additional information, I am at www.judgelilly-spells.com. LILLY dash S like Sam, P like Paul, ELLS.com. On social media, Judge Jasmine Lilly-Spells, and number 702-907-5565. I think that's all the information that you need to reach me. Come down to the courthouse if you want to see what I'm doing. Department 23. Vote Jasmine Lilly-Spells on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show,
Thank you for having me.
Judge Spells. Thank you, Ms. Phillips.
Thank you.
Folks, that's District Court Judge, Department 23, Judge Jasmine Lilly-Spells. And she's been endorsed by our organization. And we encourage everybody to go to the voting booth and vote for her and keep her back on the bench. She is very insightful. She's very knowledgeable.
Enlightening.
She's very enlightening. She's good on the eyes. She's everything you want a judge to be. So put Judge Jasmine Lilly-Spells back into the District Court bench. This is Steve Sampson, Stephanie Phillips with Veterans in Politics. Until next time. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, live stream on Facebook.